Welcome to the Sharewell iTicket Basic Navigation for Change video. iTicket, or Sharewell, is broken up into three basic navigation areas. The first navigation area is the control panel, which is currently in green. In some cases, it will be in red in case of an emergency change. The control panel gives you the option to update the requester or change owner. However, this should only really be done at the beginning of a change and not constantly as the change is progressing. The middle section allows you to move it from one status to another, in this example from draft to development. The status of your change is shown in the control panel, however it is most notably seen in the center of the change ticket. Work should generally not be started unless the status equals what you are doing. Exceptions might be an emergency change. The center of the screen contains change detail, including the title of the change, a general description of the change, the location of the change, primary CI or server that's being changed, implementation schedule, and completion details. All of these areas will be covered in greater detail in further videos, including how to fill out different areas. The final section is tabs, which contains many areas that are not required to be filled out. However, the primary ones are the first 6, including key personnel, risk, impact, backup plan, planning, tasks, and approvals. The first tab, Key Approvers, includes the development team and the implementing team. User Acceptance, or UAT, Verification Approver, which is a new approval. This person would generally be the same as the UAT person. The Verification Approver will confirm that the implementation is complete and that the business agrees that the change was successful. This generally will happen after the implementation is completed. And up to 3 Platform Approvers, when multiple Platform Approvers are involved in the change and need to commit resources to the change. Risk is a key indicator and drives the process flow to a certain extent. Please make sure to validate your risk assessments. Service disruption possibilities are a component of risk and should be explained so that the business can be notified in advance of any possible disruptions. Backup plans are simply designed to put the system back to its prior state and mitigate risk. Part of your backup planning should be to validate your assumptions about the availability of data and personnel resources if you need to back out a change. The Planning tab includes the test plan, which should be completed prior to the start of the testing phase, implementation summary, which should give a good overview of the change, and a communication plan, which should explain how you are going to communicate the change, what level of detail needs to be communicated, what the impact to the business is, to whom you are going to communicate this, and by what method. The task section shows the detail of the change down to the individual tasks, who will perform them, and when. Approvals are particularly important and must be managed by the change owner, since they must be obtained prior to proceeding. Simply pressing the equivalent of send in the system won't guarantee that they will be seen or responded to in time for your change to proceed. Getting these approvals is the change owner's responsibility. The Summary and Actuals tab is not currently used. The Post-Implementation tab is to be filled out by the change owner prior to closing the change. It should be thought of as an overview of what happened, including deviations from the plan. It would be the equivalent of a lessons learned or closeout document in a project. Linked changes might be used if a prior change failed and was reverted back, or if multiple changes were needed in an implementation over a few weeks. Any change can be linked to any other change if it makes it easier to find the related change later. Journal entries are the detailed logging of everything you do in the change management system and when you did it. It's best to update your changes as you're doing them, as this is the official record of when tasks were done. Configuration items are really just the single primary configuration item listed in the change. Problems are simply linked to the change if they were the underlying reason for the change. This is a great idea to help close the loop on problems. Similarly, a single release can be linked to a single change. With tickets, multiple tickets may be linked to a change and closed out when the change is closed with one click, Resolve Linked Tickets. Sharewell has a great ad hoc reporting tool. If you go into the Search Change Request area and run it wide open, it will return a spreadsheet-like result. In the tabs on the top, if you click, you can add and remove columns. You can also add columns that are hidden by going down to More. These are less common, but you can find almost any area of Sharewell in these columns. Additionally, at the top, there's a small funnel-like item that you can use to filter down to just your name, for example. In this case, these are all the changes that are open in the system at this time for me, under Changes. It's also helpful to do the same thing under Tasks. First, I'm going to run it wide open with both open and closed tasks for me. And I can see which ones are currently waiting and available. This is very helpful when trying to find things that are just not easily found in other ways, or tasks that are disconnected from particular changes. Just a helpful hint if you're new to Sharewell. The next video will cover the basic overview of change management workflow and the draft section of the iTicket Sharewell tool.